The rain had just started falling over the quiet little town of Riverside. Most shops were closing for the night, neon lights flickering against puddles that shimmered on the cracked pavement. Inside a small, dimly lit garage, Adam Schiff wiped the grease off his hands and prepared to lock up for the day. Business had been slow and his rent was already a week overdue. Still, he wore the same calm, gentle expression he always did. A man who carried hope even when life didn't offer much of it. Just as he reached for the light switch, Adam heard a faint voice outside. "Excuse me." "Sir?" He turned to see a young woman standing by the door, soaked from the rain. She leaned heavily on a damaged leg brace, clearly struggling to stay upright. Her clothes were torn near the knee, and her umbrella had flipped inside out in the wind. Without hesitation, Adam rushed forward, grabbed an old shop towel and offered it to her. "Are you okay? Looks like that brace needs help more than the umbrella does," he said with a small smile. The woman laughed weakly. "It broke when I slipped on the sidewalk. I don't have money to fix it." The clinic said it'd take weeks. Adam crouched down, inspecting the brace. "It's bent, but not hopeless," he murmured. Then looking up, he added, "Come inside. I'll see what I can do." Her eyes widened. "You'd fix it? I can't pay you," Adam waved his hand. "Don't worry about that. Sometimes help shouldn't come with a price tag." He set the brace on his workbench and began repairing it carefully, using the same precision he used on car engines. The rain tapped against the roof as silence filled the room. The kind that felt peaceful, not awkward. Within 30 minutes, he handed the brace back to her as good as new. She tested it, astonished. "It feels perfect." "Thank you, really." Adam smiled. "Take care of that leg. The world's easier to face when you're standing strong." As she walked away into the rainy night, Adam had no idea that this single act of kindness would soon transform his entire life. He had no idea this small act of kindness would completely change his life. The next morning, Adam woke up before sunrise. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under a pale golden sky. His small apartment above the garage smelled faintly of oil and coffee, the scent of his everyday life. As he sipped from a chipped mug, he looked at the stack of bills on the counter. Electricity, rent, insurance, all stamped final notice. He sighed softly. Another day, another chance, he told himself, forcing a smile. Downstairs, the garage was quiet except for the soft hum of a flickering fluorescent bulb. Adam checked his phone. No new customers. His repair shop had once been a local favorite, but with a big auto chain opening nearby, most of his regulars had vanished. Still, he refused to give up. Around mid-morning, his friend and fellow mechanic Tommy dropped by. "Morning, man," he said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Heard you fixed a leg brace last night." "For free," Adam chuckled. "Word travels fast in this town." Tommy leaned against the workbench. "You're a good guy, Adam, but kindness doesn't pay rent. You keep helping people who can't pay. One day you'll lose this place." Adam tightened a bolt on an old truck's engine, his voice calm. "Maybe, but if I stop helping, what's the point of keeping it?" Tommy shook his head, half smiling. "You've got a good heart, just don't let it get broken." That evening, Adam sat outside his shop, watching cars pass by. The town buzzed with life, people laughing, lights flashing, music playing from nearby cafes. But inside him there was silence. The woman he'd helped hadn't returned, and he hadn't even asked her name. He didn't regret it, but a small part of him wondered what became of her. Then came another knock on the garage door. A young man, probably in his 20s, holding a flat tire. "Are you still open?" Adam smiled. "For you?" "Always." As he worked, they chatted. The man said he'd lost his job and couldn't pay much. Adam waved him off. "Just promise me you'll pay it forward someday." The man looked surprised. "Seriously?" "Seriously," Adam said. "Kindness isn't a loan. It's a gift." Later that night, Adam closed the shop again, exhausted but content. The moonlight spilled through the windows, lighting up the old sign above the door. Schiff Auto Repair. Honesty. Heart. Hard work. He stared at it for a moment. His father had painted those words decades ago, and Adam still lived by them. He switched off the lights, whispering, "Dad, I hope you'd still be proud." The next morning brought more challenges. The landlord arrived, a stern man named Mr. Callahan. "Adam, I need the rent by Friday," he said bluntly. "No more delays." "I understand," Adam replied softly. "Just give me a few more days." Callahan hesitated, then said, "You're a good man." "Adam, but good men still have to pay the bills." When he left, Adam leaned against the wall, staring at his grease-stained hands. He wasn't angry, just tired. Tired of giving everything he had and feeling like the world didn't notice. Still, when a stray dog limped into the shop later that afternoon, Adam knelt down, fed it leftover sandwich meat, and wrapped its injured paw with an old rag. "Guess we're both a little broken, huh?" he said with a gentle laugh. The dog wagged its tail and stayed by his side the rest of the day. By evening, the small act of kindness had drawn a few locals back in. A mother stopped by for an oil change and said, "I saw the way you helped that woman last week. You've got a good heart, Mr. Schiff." Adam smiled faintly, just doing what anyone should do. As he worked late into the night, the glow of his single hanging light bulb flickered against the rain-streaked window. His hands were tired, his pockets were empty, but his spirit somehow remained whole. He didn't know it yet. But far from Riverside, someone was watching his story unfold. Have you ever helped someone even when you had little yourself? Comment below, and tell me which country or city you're watching from. The music would fade in here, soft emotional piano, leading viewers to reflect before the next turning point. That night, as Adam finally went to bed, he whispered a quiet prayer. "Please, just one sign that I'm doing the right thing." He didn't know that sign would arrive sooner, and more powerfully, than he could ever imagine. The days turned into weeks, and the soft glow of hope that usually filled Adam's heart began to dim. Business had slowed to a crawl. The new auto chain across town offered flashy ads, online discounts, and free pickup services. Adam's small, humble garage, with its peeling paint and hand-drawn sign, couldn't compete. He sat at his workbench one quiet morning, staring at the empty appointment board. Dust floated through the light pouring from a cracked window. Even the stray dog that had been keeping him company had wandered off that morning, perhaps sensing his owner's growing despair. The bell over the door jingled, a sound Adam always loved. He looked up quickly, but it was only the mailman dropping off another pile of envelopes. Adam's chest tightened as he flipped through them. Overdue. Past due, final notice. He whispered to himself. Just one good week. That's all I need. That afternoon, his friend Tommy came by again, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You look like you haven't slept," he said, setting one on the counter. Adam gave a tired chuckle. "Sleep costs extra these days," Tommy sighed. "You're running yourself into the ground, man. Maybe it's time to sell the shop. Get a job at one of the big garages. Steady pay, no stress." Adam stared at the greasy floor. "This place was my dad's dream. It's all I have left of him. I can't give it up." Tommy patted his shoulder. "Dreams don't pay rent. Reality does." After Tommy left, Adam sat in silence. His father's old photo hung above the desk. A younger man in the same coveralls, smiling proudly beside a vintage car. Adam looked up at it and whispered, "I'm trying, Dad, I really am." Just then the garage door creaked open. A small, frightened voice broke the silence. "Sir, can you help me?" A young mother stood at the entrance holding a crying child. Smoke rose from an old station wagon parked outside. "My car broke down. I don't have much money," she said, panic in her eyes. Adam hesitated. He could almost hear Tommy's voice in his head. "You can't help everyone." But his heart wouldn't let him turn her away. "Don't worry," he said softly. "Let's take a look." He worked for 2 hours, replacing a burnt-out hose and refilling the coolant. When he finished, the mother's eyes filled with relief. She reached into her purse and offered him a few crumpled bills. Adam shook his head. "Keep it. Get your little one something to eat." Tears welled in her eyes. "You're a good man. God bless you." As the car drove off, Adam leaned against the hood, wiping sweat from his brow. He felt proud, but also deeply tired. He wondered how long he could keep this up before life demanded something in return. Later that evening, the sky turned dark and heavy with clouds again. Adam sat outside the garage, staring into the streetlights as thunder rumbled in the distance. The neon sign flickered weakly. The H in honesty had gone out completely. "Kindness doesn't fix everything," he murmured. Inside, his phone buzzed. A message from the landlord. Rent overdue. "Eviction in 5 days." Adam rubbed his face with both hands, his heart sinking. The weight of his generosity finally pressed down on him. For the first time, he wondered if maybe Tommy was right. Maybe kindness really didn't have a place in a world that rewarded selfishness. He walked to the window and looked out at the dark street. The rain started falling again, slow at first, then harder, beating against the glass like an echo of his thoughts. He whispered, "Why does it feel like the more I give, the less I have?" Then he caught a glimpse of something that made him pause. The same young woman he'd helped weeks ago, walking across the street under a black umbrella. She looked in his direction for a moment, almost as if recognizing the place. But before Adam could call out, a car passed, and she was gone. He frowned, unsure if he had imagined her. Maybe it was wishful thinking, maybe it was nothing. But that fleeting moment, that glimpse of familiarity, sparked something small but real inside him. A quiet reminder that good deeds don't vanish. They echo. Sometimes it just takes time for them to come back around. Adam turned off the lights and stood by the door for a long moment before locking up. The rain poured harder, but he didn't move. He looked up at the sky and said softly, "If I'm doing the right thing, please give me a sign. If you were in Adam's place and struggling but still helping others, would you keep going or finally say enough is enough? Type your answer below. I'd love to hear your thoughts." He closed the door behind him, unaware that the next knock on it would change everything, and that his quiet prayers were already being answered in ways he couldn't yet imagine. A week after the stormy night, the streets of Riverside basked beneath a soft winter sun. Adam arrived early, unlocking his garage before the world had properly woken. He switched on the radio, half listening to an old country song while tightening a few bolts on a rusted pickup. For the first time in days, the air felt lighter. Maybe things would finally settle, until the sound of tires crunching over gravel broke the calm. A black SUV rolled to a slow stop outside the shop. The vehicle was sleek and spotless, the kind that didn't usually appear in his part of town. Adam wiped his hands on a rag and stepped out. The rear door opened and a woman stepped out, elegant, confident, dressed in a cream coat that shimmered faintly in the morning light. For a second, Adam didn't recognize her. Then he saw the familiar eyes and the faint scar near her knee. It was the same woman he had helped that rainy night. "Good morning, Mr. Schiff," she said, smiling. Her voice carried warmth but also a quiet authority. Adam blinked. "You remember my name?" "Of course. You wrote it on the brace you fixed for me, so I'd know who to thank." Two men in suits stood beside her, watching silently. Adam's mind raced. Who travels with security to a mechanic's shop? He gestured awkwardly toward the garage. "Well, welcome back. How's the brace holding up?" She lifted her leg slightly and smiled. "Perfect. You didn't just fix it, you saved me from months of pain. I owe you more than you know." Adam chuckled nervously. "Hey, you don't owe me anything. I was just doing what anyone should do." She looked around the small shop, rusted tools, half-fixed cars, peeling posters, and her smile softened. "Not everyone would, Mr. Schiff. Most would have turned away." Adam shrugged. "Maybe, but I believe if you can help, you should." For a moment, silence hung between them. Then she said, "I'd like to talk inside, if that's okay." They stepped into the garage. The two suited men followed quietly, scanning the space like bodyguards. Adam poured water into a cracked mug and offered it to her. She accepted graciously. "I never got your name," he said. She smiled. "It's Emily." Then, after a pause, "Emily Harrington." The name meant nothing to him, though it carried a faint sense of recognition he couldn't place. "I've been meaning to come sooner," Emily continued, "but I had to arrange a few things first. You see, I wasn't entirely honest with you that night." Adam raised an eyebrow. "About what?" "I told you I couldn't afford treatment. That part was true at the time, but not for the reason you think. I had left home suddenly without access to my accounts. It's complicated. Let's just say I needed time away." Adam nodded slowly. He didn't pry. Everyone had a story and some didn't need telling. She smiled at his silence. "You didn't ask questions then either." "That's rare." "Well," he replied, "fixing things is what I do. Asking questions just slows the repair." Emily laughed softly, a sound that cut through the tension like sunlight through clouds. Then her tone grew serious. "Mr. Schiff, I told my father about you." Adam looked confused. "Your father?" "Yes," she said, glancing toward the SUV. "He's in the car." Adam turned toward the window. Through the tinted glass, he could barely make out an older man sitting inside, speaking to someone on a phone. He looked distinguished, gray hair, suit, expensive watch. Definitely not from Riverside, Emily continued. He's the founder of Harrington Industries. We run one of the largest manufacturing companies in the country. He watched the video I took of you fixing my brace that night. He was deeply moved. Adam froze. You recorded that? Just the repair, she said quickly. I was documenting my condition for therapy. I didn't mean to invade your privacy, but the way you spoke, the patience in your hands. It said more about you than any interview or resume could. Adam tried to process her words. His pulse quickened. So, why are you here now? She smiled gently. To return the kindness you gave me. And maybe change your life the way you changed mine. Before Adam could respond, the SUV door opened and the older man stepped out. He approached with the steady confidence of someone used to being listened to. Mr. Schiff, he said, extending a hand. I'm William Harrington. My daughter tells me you're a man of rare decency. Adam shook his hand firmly but humbly. I just try to do right by people. That's exactly why we're here, William replied. I'd like to discuss an opportunity, something that could benefit us both. Adam blinked in disbelief. He had spent weeks praying for a sign that his kindness mattered. And now two strangers, one of them a billionaire, were standing in his small garage, talking about opportunities. His voice trembled slightly. Sir, I don't know what to say. Say you'll listen, William smiled. I believe people like you are the foundation of every good business and every good story. Adam nodded slowly. I'm listening. He had no idea this conversation was only the beginning, because the truth about who he'd helped and what awaited him next would be beyond anything he could imagine. The sound of rain drummed softly against the tin roof as William Harrington stepped fully into the garage, his polished shoes tapping against the concrete floor. The contrast between his elegance and the humble surroundings couldn't have been greater. One man from a world of power and luxury, the other from simplicity and struggle. But in that moment, the difference didn't matter. Adam wiped his hands again, nervous but composed. So what brings you both here? He asked carefully. William smiled, the kind of smile that carried both gratitude and purpose. Your compassion, Mr. Schiff, that's what brings us here. Adam looked confused. Compassion? Emily stepped closer, her voice soft but filled with emotion. That night you fixed my brace and you didn't know who I was. You didn't even hesitate. You helped me because it was the right thing to do. My father and I watched that moment again and again. You reminded us of something we'd forgotten, that not every exchange needs a profit. Adam glanced between them, unsure how to respond. I just did what anyone should have done, William chuckled quietly. And that, my friend, is exactly why so few people do it. He began walking around the small garage, observing the framed photo of Adam's late father, the worn-out tools, the fading sign that read honesty and heart. This place tells a story, William said. A story of hard work, decency, and perseverance. Do you know how rare that is these days? Adam's throat tightened slightly. I just try to keep things running. William turned back toward him. My company was built by men like you. Men who cared more about the quality of their work than the size of their paycheck. Somewhere along the way, we lost that spirit. My daughter reminded me of it when she showed me that video. Emily pulled out her phone, showing Adam the short clip. The video was simple. Him working under the dim yellow light, focused and patient while the rain echoed in the background. His words played faintly through the speaker. Sometimes help shouldn't come with a price tag. Adam's eyes widened slightly. You really recorded that? Emily nodded. At the time, I just wanted to remember the man who fixed more than my brace, who fixed my faith in people. William stepped forward. Mr. Schiff, I want to offer you a partnership. My company is planning to launch a community-based repair initiative, affordable automotive services in small towns. I need someone with your heart to lead it. Adam's jaw dropped. Me, sir, I'm just a small-town mechanic. William smiled. Exactly. That's what makes you perfect for it. You understand people, not just machines. Adam shook his head slowly. I wouldn't know where to begin. I don't have fancy degrees or business experience. Emily placed a reassuring hand on his arm. You have something far more valuable, integrity. And that can't be taught. He looked at her, at the sincerity in her eyes. And for the first time in weeks, hope flickered inside him again. Still, a part of him hesitated. Why me? There must be hundreds of qualified people. William looked him straight in the eye, Because when no one was watching, you chose to be kind. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are." For a long moment, Adam couldn't speak. The only sound was the gentle hum of rain and the faint ticking of a clock. He thought of all the nights he'd prayed for a sign, for proof that doing good still mattered. Now standing before him were the answers to every one of those prayers. I don't know what to say," Adam murmured. "Say yes," Emily said softly. William laughed lightly. "We'll handle all the logistics and funding, marketing, everything. You'll manage the first pilot branch right here in Riverside. We'll refurbish this shop, upgrade the equipment, and hire staff. You'll be the face of the project." Adam's voice trembled. "You're serious?" "Completely," William said, his tone steady. "Consider it our way of saying thank you, and paying forward what you've already given to the world." Adam's eyes glistened, but he blinked away the tears. "Sir, you have no idea what this means to me." William smiled warmly. "Oh, I think I do. And I hope you'll use this chance to help others the same way you helped my daughter." Adam took a deep breath, then nodded firmly. "If it helps people, I'm in." Emily grinned, relief flooding her face. "I knew you'd say that." As they shook hands, the door swung open, letting in a gust of cool air. For the first time in months, the garage didn't feel small. It felt like the beginning of something vast, something full of light. What Adam didn't know was that this was just the start, because the reward he was about to receive would not only change his business, but redefine his entire life. 2 weeks later, the quiet street outside Schiff Auto Repair looked completely different. Workers in hard hats moved briskly, repainting walls, installing new windows, and unloading shiny new equipment. Trucks bearing the Harrington Industries logo were parked outside. A fresh modern sign gleamed above the garage door. Schiff Automotive Center, in partnership with Harrington Industries. Adam stood on the curb, hands in his pockets, staring in disbelief. The old flickering bulb that once hung above his entrance was gone, replaced by bright LED lights. The walls, once dull and chipped, now shone a crisp blue and white. Emily watched him quietly from behind, smiling. "You don't like it?" she teased. Adam turned, almost speechless. "Like it? I don't even recognize it," she laughed. "That's the idea. A new start." William walked over holding a folder. "Everything's in place, Mr. Schiff. You'll manage this branch with full autonomy. We'll pay for the staff, training, marketing, everything." Adam blinked. "Sir, this is more than I ever dreamed of." "I don't know how to thank you." William placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You already did, weeks ago when you chose kindness over convenience." Those words hit deep. Adam swallowed hard, looking around as his humble shop transformed before his eyes. Mechanics were already unpacking tools. A bright new reception area was taking shape. The smell of fresh paint mixed with motor oil filled the air, a scent that now felt like hope itself. A young man approached, carrying paperwork. "Mr. Schiff, I'm your new assistant manager," he said cheerfully. "We'll have 6 new hires starting next week." Adam smiled, shaking his hand. "Call me Adam. Titles don't fix engines, and people do." Everyone laughed. For the first time in months, the sound of joy filled the garage. Later that day, when the workers left, Adam stood quietly by the counter, the sunlight streaming through the new glass panels. He could see his reflection, the same man, but different somehow. The lines of worry had softened. The hope in his eyes was back. Emily walked in, handing him a small envelope. "Before I forget, this is for you." He opened it, expecting more documents, but instead found a handwritten note and a check. The amount made his knees weak. "Emily, this is too much," he stammered. "It's not payment," she said gently. "It's appreciation. My father wanted to make sure you never struggle again." Adam stared at the paper, his voice trembling. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll keep doing what you do best," Emily smiled. "Helping people." He folded the check carefully, his eyes glistening. "I promise." She hesitated for a moment, then said softly, "You know, that night you helped me, I was in a really dark place. My accident wasn't just physical. I was running from people who only cared about money, not meaning. You reminded me what kindness looked like. You reminded me that not everyone is broken." Adam smiled gently. "Sometimes all we need is one person to care, and the rest starts to heal itself." They stood in silence for a moment, a shared understanding between two people who had met by fate, not chance. That evening, as the sun set, Adam locked up the shop, though it no longer felt like just a shop. It was a symbol of something bigger. He walked outside, watching the golden light paint the sky in streaks of orange and pink. He took out his old keychain, the one with his father's initials, and smiled. "You were right, Dad. Good work always finds its way back." Just then, his phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "I saw your story online. You're an inspiration. Thank you for reminding us that goodness still exists." He scrolled down. Thousands of comments, hundreds of shares. Emily had posted his story online with the caption, "He fixed my leg for free. Today, we helped rebuild his dream." The post had gone viral overnight. News outlets, community pages, and even national media were picking it up. People from around the world were sharing their own stories of kindness in response. Adam couldn't stop smiling. "Maybe the world just needed a reminder," he whispered. "Do you believe good deeds always come back in unexpected ways?" Share your story in the comments. You never know who might be inspired by it today. As the camera pans out in your video, the scene fades, the once dim garage now glowing under the evening lights, its new sign shining bright. And in that moment, Adam Schiff, the small-town mechanic who gave when he had nothing, finally realized the truth. Sometimes the simplest act of kindness doesn't just change someone else's life. It changes yours forever. But what happened next would take this story from inspiring to unforgettable. A month later, the world knew his name. News headlines read, "Small-town mechanic's kindness sparks global movement." Adam Schiff, the man who fixed a leg and healed humanity's faith. Adam's story had spread far beyond Riverside. Television networks, podcasts, and newspapers reached out daily, wanting interviews. But true to who he was, Adam didn't chase fame. He still opened his shop every morning at 8 a.m., still greeted every customer with the same warm smile, and still charged fair prices, and often less than he should. The only difference was what surrounded him now: hope, laughter, and purpose. His shop had become more than a business, and it was a community center. People came not just for repairs, but for advice, friendship, and inspiration. Emily visited often, helping him set up a charity fund that provided free mechanical training for unemployed youth. The program was called Wheels of Hope, a name Adam had chosen himself. When asked why he created it, he said simply, "Because everyone deserves a chance to keep moving forward, no matter how broken they start." A reporter once asked Adam during a live interview, "Mr. Schiff, did you ever expect your kindness to bring all of this?" Adam smiled modestly. "No, I never helped her expecting anything back. I did it because it was right. And I think the world needs more of that. Doing good without expecting reward." The reporter leaned forward. "Do you believe kindness always comes back?" Adam thought for a moment, then said, "Not always how you expect it, but it always finds its way back." That single quote went viral all over again, shared by millions across social media. Schools printed it on posters. Journalists used it as headlines. And around the world, people started performing random acts of kindness in his name. One evening, after a long day, Adam sat outside the garage as the sun dipped below the horizon. The air was cool, filled with the scent of fresh oil and new beginnings. Emily joined him, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "Do you ever think about that night?" she asked softly. He smiled. "Every day. It reminds me that even in the smallest moments, life is testing what kind of person we are." She nodded. "You passed that test better than anyone I've ever met." Adam looked up at the glowing sign, Schiff Automotive Center. Below it, someone had painted his father's old motto in bold white letters, "Honesty and heart. Kindness is free." He whispered, "Looks like Dad's words finally reached the world." Emily smiled. "And you made sure they never get forgotten." They sat in peaceful silence as the lights of the shop flickered softly, not from weakness this time, but from the steady hum of new life. If you believe no one should be judged by wealth, status, or appearance, and if you believe kindness still matters, type goodness in the comments. Because one small act of compassion can change not just a life, but the whole world. As the camera pans out for the final shot, soft piano music rises. The scene fades to black, leaving viewers with a lingering message. In a world that often forgets, Adam Schiff remembered.